It took a while to get there because it's not simple.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'd like to call the May 2nd Personnel Administration and Higher Education Committee to order this morning. First order of business, approve the minutes from the prior meeting. Need a motion? Supervisor Ritu, Supervisor Bean, thank you. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That is approved. Privilege of the floor, public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on. First action agenda, SUNY Adirondack, an update on the college. Good morning, Dr. Duffy.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. Just a couple updates. We are in our last week of classes, so it's very exciting to be wrapping up another semester with commencement coming up a week from Saturday at the Pool Insuring Arena. I've reported this in the past, and now we have everything set ready to launch our first HVAC training program that will occur this summer. It will occur at the 773 Plumbers and Steamfitters Union building, which is a great way to partner with them. They've been very gracious partners, and that will be 2 nights a week for about 12 weeks and prepare people to have the beginning knowledge to work in the residential area. So we're excited about that. We will be graduating over 450 students, so that's exciting. And thank you to some of you who were able to come to any one of our exciting. We had lots of events this April. We launched 3 new dual admission agreements, Cobleskill, Plattsburgh, and UAlbany. And what that does is it creates a even more seamless pathway for students when they apply to SUNY Adirondack as a freshman. They can indicate their interest in any one of those, and then they will have automatic admission to that institution as long as they maintain their grades and take the appropriate courses. But it really does make them feel like they have a home before they even get there. And especially at a larger school like UAlbany, that can feel intimidating to students. So, you know, they're engaged in their activities. They'll have a assigned advisor at Albany, Plattsburgh, and Cobleskill. Cobleskill also will be offering a degree completion program in person at our Saratoga campus, which is now officially a branch campus, which is very exciting. So we've had a lot of fun, exciting new things to announce to our community throughout the month of April. So those are just a few highlights. And then today we do appreciate the fact that you will be discussing our request, excuse me, to help us replace our high voltage electrical infrastructure. This is not my area of expertise, so I have invited Anne-Marie Scheidegger and Mark Morin. Mark is our director of facilities, who's intimately involved in all of our infrastructure. And you have in front of you kind of a 1-page outline. But essentially, we are at a point where we are concerned about the safety and life and safety of our campus because this system has failed 3 times in the last year. We had a meeting with a few of you at on our campus to discuss where we're at with it. And because there's almost a 2-year lead time in terms of the equipment that we need to replace that, the sooner that we're able to secure the funding so that we can submit it for the state match and actually order the equipment, we hope that it doesn't continue to fail over the next 1.5 to 2 years. If we can expedite that process, we'll feel at least we're making progress in terms of addressing a critical maintenance issue on campus. But happy to have our folks answer any more specific questions or provide any more detail. So.
Any other questions? Hey,
What
please.
does a failure look like? The whole campus loses power and some generators kick in? Or?
Mark, maybe you couldn't share.
A failure would look like we lose a leg of our high voltage, which we did in October. Essentially, it causes us to shut down our campus. It is a primary side of our transformers of 32 voltage. We don't have standby generation on any of our campus buildings. We would propose as part of the project maybe have an alternate out. If funds were available to have alternate, maybe just the student center, to at least be able to, provide food service for the students. But it mainly be when it's power essentially have to set people.
Thank you.
Ben.
Thank you, Chairman. So there's going to be a cost with essentially putting Band-Aids on the issue. And going forward, if you're lucky enough to get it up and running, eventually it's going to die on you again. So I mean, it would make sense to, you know, to remedy the situation correctly once and for all, so you don't have those other types of costs going forward.
It's important to note, I didn't put it in here, that this equipment, the equipment we have is no longer manufactured. They don't make replacement parts for it, so if something happens to the main equipment itself, it's a hunt and find expedition.
Yeah.
What can you find? Where one of the failures we had recently, we happened to have a spare part like sitting in the corner of the room. And that's how we fixed it.
Concern we're having is the degrading of the actual wire itself, the high voltage wire, the feeders, and that's causing the breaks. And then when you're losing a leg, it's causing such an imbalance with the rest of the legs, it's really putting it's such torture on the transformers.
Sure. John? please.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So last year, Anne Marie and Mark took Dan Bruno and I through, we had a chance to see the infrastructure. And it is in not very, you know, it's risky right now for the campus. I just wanted to add that there are matching funds for this. So the state will it's a $4 million project. The state provides $2 million. The sponsor share is $2 million. At the last board meeting, Washington County, whose share is $600,000 for this, approved funding for theirs. So our request, and it's 2B today, and 2C, or I'm sorry, 5B and 5C on your agenda is for $1.4 million to fund our share of the project.
I would just add that it is replacing it in kind. It's not adding, you know, emergency power to other buildings. It's just an in-kind replacement for what we have. You know, two bringing it out to coke.
Budget officer, any comments for the committee before we move it to your committee? All right. Any other questions? With that, Supervisor McGowan, we're supposed to be doing this as privilege of the floor. I've been advised, I think other committee chairs have been advised that if we have supervisors that aren't on the committee engaging in this, then it comes close to violating our laws regarding the quorum. I'm sorry, quorum. Thank you, of the board.
Well, thank you, Chairman, for reminding me of why we do this, but unfortunately, you know, by the time you cast a vote and I'm able to speak on this, it's too late. So then you got to bring it up on the floor, which the supervisors don't like bringing things up on the floor. So, you know, it's a catch-22. So,
Well, Mr. McGowan, this is the second time we've run into this issue, but there's also the budget meeting that you could speak at privilege of the floor. So I will call the question. All those in favors we're not voting on this
We're
yet.
not voting on
All
it
right.
until 5B.
All right. Any other questions for City Adirondack? Seeing none, thank you, Chris. I do have at least one or two things that I need to address with you, so I'll touch base a little later this afternoon. Thank you very much. Moving forward, number 2, request for items to discussed by the Human Resources Director. Jackie, any comments this morning? I'm still working on trying to get you to give us some updates. So if I was looking at the tracking sheet, I just call it to the committee. One of the things that I noticed was the reduction in the amount of vacancies, but also the fact that so many of these vacancies have been filled in this calendar year, 2024. So we're on the right track in terms of keeping our staff at the level that we need to support everything that the county does. So thank you, Jackie, and your team. Are there any questions for Jackie? Seeing none, moving forward. Referral from the Economic Growth and Development Committee. Request to authorize temporary positions in the summer youth program beginning on June 2nd, ending on September 29th of this year, authorizing training slots for the program year, which begins July 1st, ends on June 30th. We do need to refer this to the Finance and Budget Committee, but this is a program that has existed for as many years as I can recall being on the board. It is our summer youth training program, and it is supported by workforce funds. So any questions, comments? So let me have a motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Ritu, thank you. Supervisor Driscoll on the second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Item 4, request for items to be discussed by the county attorney. Barry, I turn this to you.
Yeah, I'd asked if the committee would be agreeable to deferring my report to the end of the meeting. I'll be asking for an executive session. I anticipate it'll be about an hour total to review litigation matters.
So without objection from the committee, move forward and defer that to later in the meeting. Request of items to be discussed by the county administrator. John, I'll turn it to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would also, 5A is a request for an executive session pursuant to Public Officers Law 105(1)(f) to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person. And I would like to defer that to the end as well. That should take about 30 minutes, we would believe.
Any objections? Let's move that forward. Moving on to B and C, we just talked about the SUNY Adirondack electrical upgrade.
5B is the project request to create capital project number H432 for SUNY Adirondack electrical upgrade in the amount of 1.4 million and refer this to personnel for Finance and Budget Committee. Also 5C, we have as a placeholder request to issue a serial bond in the amount of 1.4 million to cover Warren County sponsor share of capital project H432, referral to Finance and Budget Committee. And the Finance and Budget Committee can make a different determination as to how this is funded if we pass it on to them from personnel.
So bring a motion maybe to bring both of these to the floor, both B and C. Supervisor Bean, Supervisor Ritu. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those both carry. Item D.
I'd like to take items D and E together as well. Actually, D, E, and F. Basically, the finance officer for DPW has decided to retire. And she will retire at the end of this month. And so what we would like to do is create a position so that we could advertise for a fiscal manager. Number 2, annual salary 65,807 to 73,327, effective 17 May. And we'd like to create a temporary new position of a temporary fiscal manager of Public Works, annual salary not to exceed $14,000, effective 17 May, and referral. So basically, what these resolutions would do would enable Kevin and DPW to hire on a part-time basis because the existing fiscal manager who's retiring to get through the transition to a new fiscal manager that he's going to hire. So there's money in his budget to do this. We're not asking for additional funds for this. It's just we have to create on the table of organization the additional position. So basically, we'd have the ability to hire the person who's retiring on a temporary basis just to get through the transition.
Kevin?
If I could just add on, one of the things that we'll do is that fiscal manager 2 position will be the new position. And the fiscal manager position I have now eventually will be deleted. So I just want to add that in.
So I need a motion to bring items 3, 5, or 5, D, E, and F together. Supervisor Bean, Supervisor Merlino on the second. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call that question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Item G.
Item 5G is a request to appoint the assigned council administrator at the current salary of $118,995 due to a retirement to occur in June. And I'd like to talk about this in more detail in executive session, but the current assigned council administrator, Julie Garcia, as you know, is retiring in June. This is her current salary. We have found someone that we'd like to nominate at the same salary to be her replacement. And I'll talk about that further.
Motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Bean, Supervisor Molino on the second. Jean, you have a comment? No comments, questions? Okay. On advice, withdraw the motion until we get to be able to identify the person. All right, I see nods, so that's been withdrawn. Moving on to the next to the last item, there's a personnel request by the county treasurer's office. I spoke with her, well, via email, and she would like to delay that for another committee meeting. So without objection, sure, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we'd actually like to do is remove this as a pending item for now. There are a large number or a significant number of issues around this request. It's been requested in the past several times. This actually was brought to the floor by the former treasurer before he retired, and we haven't been able to resolve it at this point. So I'd like to remove it, have your permission to remove it as a pending item. And if we get to a point where we think it should come back to the committee, working with the treasurer and the county attorney, we'll bring it back.
Are there any objections by the committee to remove this? Motion. So seeing none, we'll take that off the pending list. Rob, did you have a comment?
Yes.
I would just like to request if we could keep it on the pending list, because we feel we haven't really had a chance to fully discuss this with the county attorney, the county administrator, or the HR director. And we were planning on having a meeting sometime next week to further discuss it, because we have some other issues that we would like to bring up. So, you know, if we could leave it on the pending list, we would appreciate that.
John, any comment?
We-
Doesn't really make
we
a
can
difference.
Keep it on. It doesn't make a difference. It can still be brought back to the committee. The reason it will not be brought back to the committee over the next couple months, we believe, is because of where we are with our, it's a union position. And we've been informed that we won't make any decisions concerning a union contract until a collective bargaining agreement has been reached between us and the CSEA union. So we can keep it on as a pending item, but it'll just keep continuing. We can bring it back at any time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Any comments from the committee? My sense is we'll leave it on. It's not going to cause us any trouble. And we'll leave that on for you, Rob. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
That would be a table, essentially. Oh, okay.
So moving on with the agenda, I think we're to the point where Larry would like to discuss some pending legal issues and litigation, and we need an executive session.
Yeah, and if we could maybe combine, because I hear there's two different topics. So the first would be under my agenda, a request for a executive session under Public Officers Law, Section 105, subparagraph 1D, to discuss proposed pending and current litigation that's listed on the agenda. And then the second part would be to continue that executive session pursuant to Public Officers Law 105(1)(f) at the county administrator's request to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person.
So I need a motion. Supervisor Ito, Supervisor Bean. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question to enter into executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Tammy. We will be in executive